Good morning, everybody. I am John Gallo from EXP First. I am the president of marketing here, and I'm going to go over our PowerPoint here in a webinar for Google Analytics 4 and then Small Business Guide to Big Insights. So, to kick it off, we're going to go over some key factors here. These 5 key points, we're going to go over the introduction to what GA4 is and what the difference is between GA4 and GAU, which is the older version that rolled out or was sunsetted in July of this year. Then we're going to go over some key reports and metrics that small business owners should be really using. Then talk about some of the tracking and analyzing user data, followed by e-commerce tracking, which is a little bit different than maybe a B2B or lead-based business. Then finally, we'll go over the audience segmentation, and then we'll open up things to questions. All right, so let's dive right in here. So to start off, the difference between GA4 and GAU, which is Google Analytics Universal and Google Analytics 4. So really the biggest difference is that GA4 is event-based. So GA4 is looking at the actions on page versus a GAU, like Google Analytics Universal, was looking at sessions. So it was looking at people coming to the site, how long they're there, and then what they're doing on the site. Whereas GA4 is looking at it from a what they're doing standpoint. We're more worried about the actions being taken on the site versus how long they're being on a site per se for GAU. Another big difference is that GAU was very good at single source attribution, whereas GA4 allows a much more complex and robust tracking for multi-channel tracking and omni-channel tracking as well. So it's allowed to capture many different points that are outside of the Google ecosystem and bring it all in to one system. In addition, GA4 now with the Google Tag Manager, super easy to integrate a lot of different programs with it, whereas GAU required a little bit more work to get that coding done. So it's just a little bit more user-friendly as far as the user base goes. In addition, GAU only allowed one conversion per user session, whereas now with GA4 you can have multiple conversions during a single session. This is important for e-commerce sites or sites that may have multiple purchases under one session. So you may be asking yourself, I'm a local business. I own a pizzeria. Why do I need data analytics? Well, data analytics helps you understand the marketing effectiveness that you're running. I always feel bad when I see lots of little ads that I get from those coupons, and a lot of times that they're the only way they're tracking whether or not this is a successful sale is, or a successful promotion, I should say, is through the discounted sale that they receive. So at Pizzeria, they send out those little like cards out every month or whatever through the discount place, and then they're getting sales at 20% off a pizza or buy one, get one, whatever their promotion is, but that's how they're tracking it. So you're automatically paying somebody to send this out, paying for the mailing, paying for the company to make the design. And then you also still have to discount your product just to understand what is being bought from this promotion. That is just killing the ROI potential for that marketing campaign. Whereas the digital side of things with Google Analytics and the other analytics platforms, they allow you to automatically attribute your Google and other digital marketing effectiveness all without having to discount. So that money you're spending in there, you're spending say $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month on your Google ads or Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, you automatically know that it's leading to X dollars and there's no need for you to give that 20% coupon on top of it. It also helps you understand business trends. So you can understand that seasonality of your business or understand how consumers are using your business in certain ways to really guide your decision making going forward. So it's a really good way to make smart business decisions without having to kind of guess. So it is kind of reactive in that sense that you do need to collect the data first, But then once you do have that data, you can better make a business decision based on that information you already have. So based on that, I wanted to pivot here to the key reports and metrics that I feel like small business owners really want to dive into. So these here are the big GA4 key reports. These are really like the baseline that they have, and then you can add more and more customization to these, as well as different reports as you kind of dive in there. But these are really what you start with, and really they're the majority of what you'd want to see for a small business owner. So I'm going to highlight 6 key reports that I think that are really important to small business owners, and they can just kind of guide you in creating this, starting off Google Analytics moving forward. So to begin, these 2 here at the bottom, they're the user focused reports. So this report here is the user attribution. So what this is this one down here. I'll spin around there, click. So what this one is it really tells you about your audience more. It tells you about their demographics, what they're doing, as far as like from where they are, their age, sex, those type of things, which can kind of help you understand just your basic customer demographics, which is nice. It's definitely a good starting point for most companies that you don't already have that data. Same with the tech here. This tells you what type of technology they're using. So this could be a things such as what type of phone they're using, what type of maybe they're using tablets or computers, and they also can even talk about like their iOS, the OS system they're using. So this is nice for even companies like a pizzeria, for example, where you might not know how people are accessing your site. So this would at least kind of unfold that for you and let you know maybe you are getting 70% of your sales from a mobile site. And maybe you're losing your sales and people dropping off from your tablet when they're on the tablet because they're just not easily navigating your POS system on their tablet. So this is a good way to kind of start off and understanding your user base and how they interact with your website, as well as understanding the audience that is coming to your site as well. The next 2, these are a little more traffic focused. So the first one there, the acquisition at the very top here, this one up here, this acquisition overview, this is how many people are coming to your site and also where they're coming from. So this is going to show you things like they're coming from Facebook, they're coming from this campaign, and this is really kind of where you're diving in to those different campaigns and understanding what is driving your ROI. So kind of going back to that coupon thing, this is exactly where you're going to see with that somebody came into your site from X campaign or X source. So you're going to see it come in from Facebook under the back to school campaign or the monthly campaign, whatever you're setting up there, that's going to be showing where that acquisition is coming from. The next one is the pages and screens. I think this one's very important for certain businesses as it lets you understand what's happening on a specific page. So this is important for companies that want to understand maybe like the process that people are taking. So for the pizzeria example, this could be maybe a checkout page that they're doing. Maybe you're seeing a drop off for some reason on mobile. You're seeing a big drop off. They're going through the whole process, and then all of a sudden they just fall off. So this could be because of many factors. So this would allow you to kind of pinpoint why people are falling off at that certain point, and then make adjustments to that page as needed. The next ones, these 2 are what I would consider probably the most important ones for a small business. What these really are focusing on is the conversion and that money aspect, that ROI. So for most small businesses, this is really going to be the key area, and businesses that are larger as well too. So the first one there, that the overview of engagement, which is right up top here. What this one is showing you is just kind of a broad overview of what are the actions that people are taking on your site. And this helps you understand the funnel on how people are making this customer journey and what that journey looks like from their perspective. So this allows you then to make adjustments to your website and that customer journey and thought process to really highlight and understand what your customers are doing and how to optimize that further. And then this one down here, the conversions, that's the end all be all right there for sure. That's really where you're going to see the conversions that are being taken. And you can also see the path then as well that they're taking for these conversions. And this is exactly where you would be seeing that dollar amount for ROI being placed for certain campaigns, certain sources, such as Facebook or Google, as well as your understanding of how that customer got to that conversion, and the number of times maybe a session is needed to get to a conversion, which leads to that ROI. Speaking of conversions and metrics, we're going to switch here to the key metrics. So these are 3 big metrics that I think that a small business really should be honing in on when they're looking at it from a marketing perspective, especially in the digital realm. So the big 3 is conversion, lifetime value, and retention. Conversion is really, like I said, is just the value that an action is worth. So if someone's filling out a lead form, how much is that worth? If they're watching a video, what is that? Is that a positive thing for your site? Is that going to lead down the funnel? So that's really what the conversions are looking at, is this step-by-step funnel as how they're going to become a prospect to a customer, and even become during that awareness phase as well. The next one is the lifetime value. So the lifetime value, this is the value that a customer has over the lifetime of them being a customer. So for a pizzeria per se, say you moved into this new neighborhood, and now the pizzeria knows that if you target this person now, you get them to be a customer, they will become a customer for, say, on average 10 years. If they can sell you a pizza every week for that whole 10 years that you're there, that's how many you're worth, 52 weeks, so you're worth 520 pizzas to that pizzeria. What this really does then is it kind of puts it more into perspective of how you can then gauge your digital marketing campaigns to understand how they are being effective in the future as well as that short term. So that conversions level, that's really looking at that short term aspect of, what is this initial sale worth? Whereas the lifetime value is looking at it from a much longer frame. Looking at it from a total amount that if you get this customer today, what are they going to be worth to you over that time frame? And this will look different for every business. The next one is retention, which is really kind of compounds the customer lifetime value there. So that's why I think these are the 3 big, so you have key conversions for a small business, short-term value. How much is somebody going to bring to your business that first interaction or during that funnel phase? Then if they were retained, if you're keeping that customer for how many years or even for a couple months, they're bringing in X value. So the more you can retain a customer, the more value they bring, which then increases that lifetime value, which then you can look at it then from a perspective of a short-term value as well as a lifetime value when you're looking at your marketing campaigns to better understand how to grow your business and what is really driving that growth. So next, I'm going to dive a little bit into the key metrics and conversions that are used on Google Analytics. So right here you can see that we have started off, this is where you'd view the reports on your Google Analytics area, and then you can go over here to the conversions. So the conversions page, I always want to mention that you have these date range here. This is important for anybody that's looking for a way to understand and look at their reports, because it starts off default normally 30 days, but you can look at 90, a year. So it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish and understand what you want to set that to. Another key points I kind of want to look at here on the conversions page is going to be the events that are being taken. So it depends on what business you have, what you're doing, what is going to be valuable, and what these conversions are going to be. But this is really where you're going to see that full list of the conversions that are being taken, the number of conversions as well, and then the number of users that are committing those conversions. So really when I'm looking at these type of assets, we're looking at the number of conversions by users. So we want to see is there, like here, that we're seeing a lot of conversions by a smaller amount of users. So what this means that this is probably going to be a more like what's considered a top of funnel conversion. So something that is going to be early in that stage. So maybe it's something that's like a video watch, or they're interacting with something on your page to get maybe a download or understand something further about your business. But it's not going to be probably that very high value conversion. Or you'll just have a really good retention rate and people are buying something multiple times from you. So, like I said, and unfortunately in this case here, it's very business oriented. It depends on your business and what you're accomplishing. Next one, this is one I really want to drive home for small business owners. If you are a small business owner, just looking at charts and understanding what is driving that traffic and looking for trends. That's really going to be a big key point for most small business owners because it's very easy to look at. So immediately when I looked at this chart here, you can see there's little dots. There's these here, and then there's once again here. So these little trends here, that you're seeing that peak, and then a valley, and then another peak. But then this here, this is a little lull. So why is that? So that'd be immediately what I'd be looking at here is what happened during this time that is not the same as these. I mean, and it could be a good thing. Maybe this is what you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for a more straight type of sales cycle. Whereas this here, you're seeing this peak in value, and you're also seeing a slight decline as far as that conversion as well. So I'd be asking why we're seeing this, and then also why do we have this big L tail here. So it's a really easy way when you're looking at charts just to see kind of a general trend. And this is definitely where I would suggest a lot of small business owners. We know you're busy. This is a great starting point, just looking at charts and just briefly understanding what is going on. Next thing I want to kind of pivot to is just user engagement. This is going to be talking about the tracking and data analysis of users. This is really reinforced by things such as like your CRM system, which is your customer relation management system. So such as a thing of like HubSpot or Salesforce. There's tons of them out there. There's many industry specific ones. So for like real estate, I know they use MoxieWorks is a really big one. Then this is also reinforced by Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager is something that integrates a lot of different platforms and softwares into Google Analytics. And this is that really big, easy key difference that makes GA4 so much easier to use. So to understand user engagement, I kind of want to briefly go over this conversion cycle and the user conversions and how they kind of function as a organic path, I guess you could call it. Before, we used to think of funnels as this like top down. You get a funnel, you get the top, middle, bottom. Really, in the digital world and in real life in general, if you're looking at traditional marketing, it's not really how things go anymore. You really have this kind of organic path where people are coming, going, coming back, and looking at their options. They're weighing options. There's so much data out there for people that no longer are we just taking face value for most things and just buying it right off the bat. I mean, certain items, yes, sure. I mean, if you're buying some cheap little widget or a cheap t-shirt, you may just like, hey, that's a cool t-shirt, buy it right there. But for more complex and the more expensive something gets, we're seeing more and more that people are coming back, researching, understanding, and wanting to understand what they're buying and why they need to buy it before they actually make that purchase. So this little cycle here, and we actually will have a whole webinar on this kind of process and understanding the customer journey and how you can emphasize it coming here soon. So make sure to check out our channel for more options as well. It does see that customer journey cycle. So here we have new users. Then we follow that by active users. So the difference is here, this is somebody that just came to the site for the first time, but this is somebody that has actually taken actions on the site and they stayed on the site. So they didn't bounce, which would be, they just kind of clicked on it and clicked away real quick. Maybe a bot, something like that. This is somebody that's actually taking actions on the site. Then at that point, they either have a two-way split here. They're going to convert. They're going to create an action that is considered a conversion. Maybe they're filling out a lead form, they're buying their pizza, whatever it is. Then they exit the site. So right here, I mean, the other option is they don't convert. Maybe they don't fill a lead form. They're just kind of getting information. So they're going to exit the site then as well. Then once they exit the site, then hopefully they become a return user, which then means that they're coming back to the site, they're looking to become an active user, it all begins again. So we're looking at this kind of cycle here that we want to keep continuing to grow. And there's going to be many iterations of this. Like I said, they're a complex sale. You're going to see maybe more people kind of taking this path here where you're going from new user, active user, exiting, returning, becoming active again, and then maybe converting that time. Or maybe they do more consideration as well. So to view these active users, we're going to go back to that reports area. We're going to look at that engagement overview. And in here, this is really going to be some key metrics for engagement as well. So what these are is the average engagement time that someone is staying on the site, the engaged sessions per user, and the engaged time per session. So this really can vary from business to business. So you can see an example here of this site that we have 9 minutes and 29 seconds as far as engagement time. This is pretty high. This is going to be probably some site that's going to be maybe like social media or games, something like that, where you're seeing people stay for a long time. Now, once again, this is the average, and that's why it's so high. I mean, like people spend hours on Facebook, but then there's also people that either spend a few seconds, maybe they log in quick, see a photo and leave. But so they're looking at that average total. So like something that is a pizzeria, you're going to have a much lower time frame here. So for example here, maybe this is something more akin to like a pizzeria, where you're going to have that 29 seconds engagement time, because maybe it only takes a couple minutes to buy a pizza. But you don't want that to be a super long process. You want them to be able to come there, buy the pizza, pick out what they want, customize it however they need to, and then purchase their pizza. Then at that point, you're going to be maybe 3 or 4 minutes in, but then there's going to be tons of people that just come to the site, or maybe they accidentally load the site, click on a link, whatever. It's going to drag that average down. So you're going to see something much closer to maybe a minute or two. That'd probably be the optimal range. This obviously I don't think is the greatest statistics here. You definitely want to have longer engagements per session, as well as more engaged sessions per user. So ideally what this is engaged sessions per user is going to be looking at the number of sessions that someone has that are engaged. So going back to the previous one, it looks like we're having this one here is 2.2 engaged sessions per user. So that means in that time frame that someone comes back and it has another engaged session. So once again, I mean, like games, Facebook, things like that. Those like reoccurring themes are going to be very, very much having more engaged sessions per user. Pizzerias, depending on that type of model, may actually still have that, depending on the time frame you're looking at. So if you're looking at maybe 2 days, maybe not, but looking at a year, you may have more and more people coming back, returning, buying more pizza. Then the other one is the engagement time per session. So this is how long they're engaging. So once again, you're going to have a much lower time for businesses that are more transactional, more simple to understand, versus those that are more complex, or as well as more engaged. So those ones that are like those games, that Facebook, social media, they're going to have a much more engaged time per session, because you want more time there. Whereas like if it's a pizzeria, or even just a general like kind of lead-based B2B business, I mean, you're kind of coming there to get information, understanding what's going on, maybe filling an RFI or lead form, and then leaving. You're not sitting there scrolling for hours trying to understand what's going on in the world. So it's going to have a lower engagement time per session. Next one then is e-commerce tracking. So this one here, we're kind of diving in a little bit differently, because this is going to be understanding it from more of a ROI perspective. So here we're looking at these conversions that are based on the different kinds of events. So looking at this event here, you can see that there's a view item, there's a first visit, there's predicted top spenders, view cart, add cart. So this is really where you're looking at from an e-commerce perspective as to what really is driving that funnel? What is that funnel look like? So when someone does come to your website, what are they doing? What actions are being taken to understand how to either drive that further, or you can also really identify pain points. So maybe they are dropping off here. Maybe you're seeing a lot of conversions that are view cart, but not checkout. So why? What is going on there? I mean, then this is where you really can dive into things like understanding the technology. Maybe it's on the phones that they're having this problem. So when you have people are coming to your site, that some reason the view cart's okay, but then the checkout process is really hard to use, or maybe impossible to use on your phone. So this is really where you're going to look at the events that are being taken place, as well as the number of conversions, because it should be a fairly logical funnel here. So you should see more things that are view items, because you're going to view more items and you're going to be checking out. Then you should have even more, or even less of the add to cart or view cart. And then once again, checkout and purchase should be the lower ones there. So you should see that kind of funnel progression for your analytics, where you're having view item, then you're having add to carts, and then you're going to have the begin checkout and then checkout or purchase. That's really the funnel that you should be seeing there for an e-commerce perspective. Kind of to add to this a little bit, I kind of want to talk about how you can add and customize these reports a little bit. So what you're going to do here is if you click on this little plus button, you're going to have a bunch of different options to kind of add additional parameters to your events and your conversions. So one thing that's nice here, so this is the audience. So audience here, oops, I apologize. So audiences, so you can understand how an audience is really funneling, or what actions they're taking. I apologize. So audience tells you who is in there, and then the audience then in this perspective can show you what they're taking as far as actions. So you can see here that all users are seeing this view item here. Then you have non-purchasers, the recent active users, and so on and so forth. You can kind of go down, and you can really see here that you can then dive deeper into what they're doing, as well as who is doing it. I mean, in audiences, we're going to cover here in a few seconds, that this really is something that when you set them up and get it rolling, it can really help make your life easier and more simple to understand going forward. So, talking about audiences, we're going to switch to that quick. So here is a list of audiences. These are actually from a Google's account here. That they have a demo account, which I would suggest if you're kind of want to dive into this a little bit deeper, would definitely suggest checking it out. They have a couple demo accounts that cover different ranges of businesses as well. So to begin with here, I mean, all users is going to be your basic. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. They are going to be every user that comes to the site. So the big ones though down here are going to be like these things right here where you can sub-segment people by location. So when you set up your audiences, you can set different parameters to understand maybe different keys that you want to understand for the customer. So for example here, maybe they want to know, what are people in San Francisco doing on our website? Maybe that's a new target initiative. Maybe that's really where you're pushing for customers to grow that area. Maybe you think there's opportunity there. Maybe you think that there's some reason you're not getting customers. So you can set up this parameter, and then as an audience, and then you can now track them easier to understand how many users are coming, the sessions they're having, that means the average duration, and even the revenue that you're receiving from that audience. Same here, you can also see the top 5% of spenders. So what this really is showing here is a valuable insight, in my opinion, that top 5% of users, you can see their customer path. So once you understand the events they're taking, the path that they're going to take, maybe there's something easier that they're doing. Maybe there's some way that they're processing, or maybe there's just maybe a demographic understanding of that customer, or maybe they're you can get into like maybe the different type of psychological parts of that customer as well, and understand their interests, their needs, and then really dive in and target those type of people to grow your business. So audience insights, we're going to talk a little bit about how to implement this. And these can be very straightforward, but they can also then be more complex as well. So to start off, you're going to go back to that left-hand panel on your Google Analytics and go down to the admin panel. Once you click on there, in the very middle, there's going to be something that says audiences. It's pretty straightforward there. Then you're going to click on new audience. If you do not have any set up, by default, you should have all users. But then once you want to get into more in-depth parts of your audiences and understanding them, you want to make some new ones here. So once you decide to make your new audience, they'll show you these 5 here. And for most businesses, especially a small business, I would definitely suggest, start off, do these, see where they get you, and then after that you can then dive in deeper, or you can always contact people like us at EXP First, and then we can help you as well. So these here are the recently active users, as well as non-purchasers, I think are and purchasers actually. If you're an e-commerce store, these are definitely the big ones here. If you're a B2B store or B2B business, you're probably going to be looking at more like the recently active users, or maybe also the 7-day inactive users. So this is still going to vary business to business, but you're going to see that the active users are be important, same with inactive. And really how you're going to use these is, so the non-purchasers is you can actually then retarget people based on their actions in this audience group. So if you're going to be in Google Ads or some other platform, you have the ability then to target people based on these audiences. So you can then, maybe you don't want to target people that are purchasers. Maybe give them a couple of days or a week, or maybe just not at all, depending on your type of business. Versus these non-purchasers, maybe you don't want to target them also. Maybe you're seeing a lot of bot traffic or something like that. So there's definitely a little nuances as far as the targeting in a marketing campaign. But a lot of times, so like a 7-day inactive user or a 7-day inactive purchaser, these would be really valuable for, like, I'd say that pizzeria example. If you're a 7-day inactive purchaser, that means that they already purchased something, so they bought a pizza at some point, but now they're not. So it might be a good time to send that ad to them and then try to bring them back in to the fold. This is really kind of another one of those parts that I think is really valuable for these small businesses that are running more like a retail and more of a business that can have those multiple interactions. These audiences here, really key. They can make things so much easier to understand as far as your audience base, but also your marketing can just be elevated even more. So even if you're outsourcing it, you're outsourcing your marketing, make sure that you're talking to them about these things, because these are going to be the key points that can really drive cheaper leads and cheaper purchases and really increase that return on ad spend. So definitely focus and make sure you ask questions around these audience insights. So then also, when you're looking at the audience as well, you can then change your audience to being different membership durations. So you can set to be 30 days, 90 days, or you can even set to the max, which I think is, I believe it's a couple years. And then down here, it'll show you how many people in that audience, of your total audience. So how many people of your total audience are fitting into that realm. So if you're clicking on, say, 7-day inactive users, it's going to show you in here how many of those 7-day inactive users are of your total audience. So this might be like 2%, 5%, whatever that's going to be. All right. So now get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty things. So integrating GA4 using Tag Manager, which is going to spur that more growth for your business. So 4 key parts that really Google Analytics 4 benefits from is the ability to use pixels. So pixels are just kind of like that baseline integration that sends data back and forth between your Google Analytics, your Google Tag Manager, and then also that different platform. So this is where you're going to get the LinkedIn information. So when someone comes from LinkedIn, then you can then retarget them better. Same with Facebook, Pinterest. There's tons of them out there for all the different social media platforms, as well as many others. So definitely would suggest that you integrate these different platforms. If you're marketing on Facebook, you're posting on Facebook, you want to have these type of pixels to understand your customers better from both on the Facebook side as well as the Google Analytics side as well. Heat mapping is another one that's a really key part of Google Analytics, and it's really easy to integrate with Google Tag Manager. So heat mapping, you can use companies like Hotjar or Crazy Egg, and what this does then is understands or shows you what people are doing and where they're acting on your website. So it's going to show you a kind of a heat map of the site as far as like maybe people are looking at the top left, maybe people are looking at the bottom. So you're going to see those different things. Maybe one button sticks out versus another. Another big one, Google Ads. This one's not really new, but it is easier with Google Tag Manager now. So this will help you kind of pass that data back and forth, help you retarget then as well for your Google Analytics audiences. The last one then is the CRM integrations. This one I've seen personally a huge ROI increase when you integrate your CRM with the Google Ads, your Google Analytics, your Google Tag Manager. Once you have all that built in to one system, you're kind of creating that omni-channel. So that CRM integration is easier with Google Tag Manager now. I'm in GA4, so highly suggest that you look into that, see if there's a way to do it. Otherwise, you can reach out to people like myself or maybe the digital marketing firm that you work with. They should be having some familiarity. Otherwise, EXP First, we're always here for you. That is definitely one of our specialties is CRM integrations. So showing you a little bit into the Google Tag Manager and what the events look like. So to start off, this is kind of a basic screen you're going to see for Google Tag Manager. On the left here, you have overviews, tags, and you have the triggers. There's different variables and folders as well as templates. Most part, if you're a small business owner, you don't have a ton of time to do all this. I would suggest, make a couple tags, which I'll walk you through here in a second, to get your basics down, and then after that, let it be for now. So to start off, once you click on that little tags button on here on the left, or on this screen here, you can click right here the new tag as well. Then you'll come to this screen where you're going to have the title where you can put in. You're going to have the tag configuration and triggers, which is really every tag has two different parts to it. So you have the tag configuration, click on there. Then you're going to have this long list. So this is just a short portion of it. To start off, you're going to always want to do the Google tag, which is kind of like that pixel I mentioned earlier, but this is going to make that connection between Google Analytics as well as any other Google platform, and then with your Google Tag Manager. So it starts to build that connections there. Then after that, you're also going to start wanting to make events, which are going to be where you get those custom conversions, where you're going to get those purchases. And you start seeing that funnel, depending on what you value as a business. So then once you click on the Google event, you'll then be able to name your event here, and then you also will put in your Google Analytics ID number. And this is really where it's going to make that connection here, and then you're going to be able to track it down here. I personally name the event something that is understandable, so it would be maybe something like form submission. I like to have them be here as far as like the trigger, which is the trigger down here. Once you click on that, I like to have these kind of correlate. So maybe here you can see there's like the phone click. So maybe that's what this event name would be, is be just phone_click. And that way the trigger and the event makes sense. The trigger is someone's clicking on a phone number on the website. Makes sense. That the event name then is phone click. So when you see it on your Google Analytics dashboard, you're going to see phone click. And you'll know exactly what that means. Same then here with the tag, I always suggest naming it being like what the trigger is and then the event name. So in this case, it might be click _ either phone click or phone, how you want to name the event and triggers. But that I always suggest doing it that way, so that way you kind of categorize it as a way of simplifying things. So you don't have a bunch of different things that are named all over the place. The other option would be is you could name it by platform. So going back here, so you could have like a LinkedIn, click, or you have Facebook, those type of different things. But in general, when you have you have a bunch of different clicks. So if you have a click for proposals, click for phone, then when you want to look at your tag manager and you want to understand quickly at a glance, like where you want to edit, it's all organized then in that click fashion. All right, well, that wraps things up. I really appreciate everybody coming out today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. My email is john, which is John, at exp1st.com. Once again, it's John at expfirst.com. We'll gladly answer any questions. We love to help you in any way. So if you get stuck looking at these analytics and you have questions, I have no idea what's going on, please reach out. We're always here to answer questions, and we love working with other businesses to really increase their analytics prowess. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.